Some people speak of an incredibly vast universe, a cosmic tapestry, where our planet is but an infinitesimal speck among countless stars and galaxies. Contemplating such immensity can stir a sense of awe and wonder. It might also raise questions about how everything began, why anything exists at all, and whether consciousness itself has a deeper root than mere brain activity. For a long time, many have argued that the cosmos appeared by chance out of nothing, unfolding into a purely material reality with no guiding intention. Others suggest that there might be more to the story, a possibility that consciousness is woven into the very structure of the universe. Some modern viewpoints argue that matter forms the foundation of everything, including our awareness. In that view, random evolutionary steps eventually led to life and mind. A different perspective, however, suggests that a universal consciousness existed first, giving rise to matter and energy. It proposes that mind is not an isolated quirk in a mechanical cosmos, but rather a fundamental aspect of reality. From this angle, each thought and feeling unfolds within a vast, all-pervading consciousness that permeates every atom. Ancient systems of contemplation, particularly those from certain cultures with strong meditation traditions, have upheld this understanding for millennia. Some teachers compare this idea to a person peering at the world through a lit window at night. One may see objects outside, but the source of illumination behind oneself, the inner light, remains unnoticed. In a similar sense, awareness allows us to perceive thoughts, sensations, and experiences, yet we seldom investigate the awareness itself. People get accustomed to identifying with the body or mind, forgetting the possibility of a deeper self beyond shifting thoughts and fleeting emotions. When someone stumbles upon the idea that consciousness is not just a byproduct of neurons, but might be the underlying force of all existence, it can feel groundbreaking. Some people recall comedic stories that illustrate how we often in the wrong place for answers. There is a tale of someone who lost their house key inside their home, but decided to search for it outside under a street lamp, simply because the light was better there. Obviously, that search would be in vain. Similarly, if consciousness underpins everything, then investigating only external phenomena for evidence of a deeper truth might leave us short of discovering how profound our own awareness can be. The advice, therefore, is to look inside through direct experience, rather than expect purely external methods to validate states of awareness. Some seekers have reported glimpses of a vast, blissful sense of being, sometimes after many years of meditative practice, sometimes spontaneously. One individual with a background in neuroscience described entering a coma and experiencing heightened consciousness, despite the brain being severely compromised. Upon returning, this person spoke of an overwhelming feeling of love and unity. Examples like these, while anecdotal, have nudged a few open-minded scientists to re-examine whether the brain alone generates consciousness, or if consciousness might be fundamental, with the brain acting more like a receiver. Some historical figures in theoretical inquiry hinted at a reality far beyond simple mechanistic explanations. From discovering the tiny constituents of matter to delving into quantum phenomena, certain pioneers have occasionally voiced the idea that mind or awareness cannot be fully separated from what we call the physical world. A few famous statements suggest that matter is not as solid or primal as once believed, and that consciousness could be elemental. Although mainstream scientific consensus often refrains from jumping to the conclusion that mind precedes matter, there is a gradual shift in how these subjects are being discussed, allowing more room for alternative theories. On a more personal level, some teachers propose that the best method to explore the possibility of a conscious universe is through direct self-exploration. Rather than waiting for proof from instruments or external authorities, they recommend sitting quietly in meditation. In such a state, one gradually notices that thoughts, sensations, and emotions all arise and dissolve against a background that remains unchanged. With consistent practice, a meditator may detect a deeper layer of stillness, which some interpret as the root of consciousness itself. From that vantage, the usual sense of isolation diminishes, replaced by an impression of connection with all existence. To try this experimentally, one can close the eyes, center on the breath, and gently imagine that an infinite peaceful awareness pervades the surroundings. With continued practice, a calmer mind can develop, and occasional insights may surface, glimmers suggesting that one's consciousness is not confined by the body or by personality traits. In day-to-day life, many notice that they feel more stable, less prone to anxiety, and more open to empathetic connections. These are initial indicators that perhaps there is truth to the notion that consciousness extends beyond the personal sphere. Some people assert that perceiving oneself as part of a conscious cosmos fosters an abiding sense of optimism. After all, if reality is governed by mechanical chance alone, it can be tough to find deep meaning in daily existence. Faced with random events and no inherent purpose, individuals might feel vulnerable to despair or loneliness. But if everything, from the smallest cell to the grandest galaxy, is within an intelligent and compassionate awareness, then it implies that we are never truly isolated. Some teachers highlight that such a worldview can replace anxiety with trust, gloom with hope, and fractured relationships with empathy. Critics sometimes claim that this talk of universal consciousness is merely escapism, people wanting to believe in something comforting. Supporters, however, say it is not about mere wishful thinking. Many describe rigorous meditation or introspective disciplines as an internal science, requiring daily effort and systematic exploration of one's states of mind. The promise is not guaranteed bliss from day one, but rather, over time, the unraveling of old mental clutter and the emergence of steady clarity. In that process, meditators learn to verify for themselves that behind the usual mental chatter lies a stable, expansive presence. The search for validation of a universal consciousness is not solely a modern phenomenon. In earlier eras, certain mystics and philosophers in different cultures spoke of a single awareness manifesting through many forms. They did not merely arrive at this idea as an abstract theory, but through contemplative practices. They concluded that the essence of each person is intimately connected with the cosmos. Ironically, as technology and science advanced, mainstream thought drifted toward a purely material outlook, relegating consciousness to an accidental byproduct of nerve cells. Now a slow pivot is happening. More are willing to consider that mind might not be as local as once supposed. Some meditators recount an experience where the entire environment feels palpably alive with awareness. In such moments, they sense that their own subjectivity has expanded, revealing everything as interconnected. They remark that it feels incredibly real, just as real as everyday tactile experience, and that this shift in perception has lasting effects on how they approach life. Though conventional science may not easily measure these inward states, the individuals who have them often express unwavering conviction in the legitimacy of what they have encountered. Beyond personal development, some people believe that adopting a consciousness-oriented worldview could have wider social benefits. If humans recognized a shared ground of being, there might be less impetus to see each other as purely separate entities locked in competition. Empathy could become more natural, perhaps easing conflicts or fostering cooperative ventures. This does not negate the need for well-structured institutions and laws, but it implies that deeper moral responsibility might spring from the knowledge that harming another is, in some profound sense, harming oneself. One might ask, does embracing a conscious cosmos mean rejecting the insights of modern science? Not necessarily. A possible middle ground is the view that scientific methodologies can accurately describe certain layers of reality, such as chemistry, biology, and physics, without claiming them to be the sole dimension. Consciousness, in this viewpoint, is not an illusion created by the brain, but the underlying field from which all phenomena arise. Science can still be a powerful tool for analyzing and predicting events in the physical sphere, while meditation and introspection reveal the more subtle dimensions of being. When these approaches unite, people might find a richer perspective on life. For instance, a neuroscientist can explore how neural pathways correlate with states of awareness without concluding that awareness is just an electrochemical phenomenon. A contemplative can look inward, discovering insights about the nature of mind and existence, while acknowledging that bodily processes shape how awareness manifests. Each perspective adds value, and neither alone can wholly capture the fullness of reality. Practically speaking, some teachers suggest that individuals experiment with a short daily practice of introspection. Even 10 minutes of quiet sitting, witnessing thoughts, feelings, and sensations, may begin to show how awareness is separate from mental restlessness. Or one might try a guided visualization where one imagines merging personal consciousness with the vastness of space. The key is consistency. Over days, weeks, and months, deeper insights typically unfold. These experiences can become a personal proof of sorts, showing that consciousness is far more expansive than everyday chatter would indicate. In conclusion, the notion that consciousness underpins everything is not just a speculative flight of fancy. It emerges from the experiences of meditators, from certain scientific pioneers' musings, and from the heartfelt testimonies of those who have touched unusual states of awareness. It offers a worldview in which alienation and despair are replaced by belonging and optimism, a sense that despite life's challenges, something immeasurably profound links everyone and everything. Perhaps the best way to assess it is not by argument alone, but through direct exploration. If consciousness is indeed fundamental, then each person has the capacity to verify that truth within themselves, discovering that their own awareness is woven into the cosmic tapestry in ways that transcend conventional categories of thought.